Hello, 7th graders. Welcome back. It's Tuesday, and we are going to start looking into mood and tone within our poetry. We've talked a lot about figurative language, word choice, and we're going into author's purpose, and this will help us understand author's purpose a little more as well. The first thing you need to do is write down both of these vocabulary words inside the vocabulary section of your notebook. So this is not going to be on your lesson page, but instead you're going to go to pages 7 through 12, find wherever you left off, and go ahead and write down the definition of mood and tone. You can go ahead and pause the video here. I'm going to keep talking. So once you're done writing down that vocabulary, go ahead and start playing the video again. I will read these out loud for you. Mood is reader-focused and centered, the overall feeling or atmosphere that is created by the text. Mood is what the reader is supposed to feel. Tone is writer-focused and centered. It is the attitude that a writer takes towards a subject or their text. Now I'm going to continue going on with the video, but please feel free to pause so that you can finish writing down your vocabulary. When you think of mood and tone, you should really think of it this way. Like I said, mood is how the reader should feel. Think about yourself. Think about the face of the reader. How do you view the text? What are the emotions that you feel? The tone, on the other hand, has to do with a different subject. It has to do with the author. The tone is how the writer feels. The face of the writer, the emotions that the author feels. And there are a couple of different ways that you can kind of decide, am I looking at the mood or am I looking at the tone? And we're going to look at some of those today and some example words that you might use to describe mood or tone. First, I want to do a little brainstorm. So on your note sheet, I want you to think back to the first novel we read this year, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. When you were reading it, what were some of the words that you felt? What was your mood when you read the book? Go ahead and write those down now. Pause if you need extra time. Now I want you to think about what was the author's tone for The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. What did we know about Junior's tone? Go ahead and write down those words. So maybe for mood, you were feeling joyous, you were feeling happy, you were feeling sympathetic, maybe you were going through a lot of the same things. But the tone, on the other hand, maybe Junior was feeling hopeful, or maybe he was feeling resentful, or maybe he was excited. You might be able to tell this, when he uses all caps and things like that. That book is really great at showing an author's tone. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into mood. Like I said, mood is the feeling that the reader gets from the text. Make sure you're copying down these notes. How does the author describe the story or events in order to affect the reader? So when you're thinking about mood, you want to think about the plot and the story and really what's happening. And why is the author choosing to create this plot, or what is the main idea, and what does the author want you to feel with the main idea? A mood can be negative or a mood can be positive. Maybe you kind of get a yucky feeling when you read the book. And I don't mean bored. Not bored. I mean like if the book really shocks you, or if the play really makes you feel upset in some sort of way. What is the connotation? Is it a negative or a positive connotation? You really need to think about, how do you feel when reading the text? Here are some of the words in order to describe mood. Maybe you're feeling amused. I'm sure a lot of you were while reading Part-Time Indian. Maybe you feel flirty and happy. Maybe it's grateful. Maybe you feel pleased. Maybe you're very relaxed. It's a very relaxed book. A lot of our poems are very relaxed. Maybe you are surprised. Maybe the author wants you to feel surprised. It's a mystery novel. They want you to feel surprised. Or maybe you feel hopeful. Those are all positive. These are all positive connotations. So I'm going to put a little positive note here. Positive feelings. Some negative feelings that you might have. Maybe you're feeling annoyed or exhausted. Maybe you're scared. Even though it can sometimes be exciting to read something when you're scared. It's also a negative mood. Maybe it's a very serious book. We definitely got some serious moods in A Long Walk to Water, painful or pessimistic. Maybe you aren't that hopeful. Pessimistic and hopeful would be opposites there. One of the more recent poems that we read was called Ode to Family Photographs. There's both a mood and a tone for this poem. Poetry has a lot of different moods and tones. In Ode to Family Photographs, the reader might feel happy or joyous or comforted. They feel this way because they can tell that the author is has a very good tone themselves, and so hearing the author explain the photographs might make you feel comforting because he's talking about family. The reader may feel this way because the photos are funny and he talks about how his mom isn't taking very good photos, and it's just kind of a happy feeling. The author explains that these are fond memories, which makes us feel comforted and joyous. Now we're going to look at tone. Tone is the author's attitude. So now you're kind of getting yourself out of your own feelings and emotions and putting yourself in the shoes of the author. Tone is developed through the author's choice in words. So think about what we did yesterday. Think about author's purpose and why an author would choose those particular words. What is their attitude towards some subject or something that's going on in the text? And you look at these words specifically to find what can you infer about the author and how they write. So if there's a lot of exclamation points, if he's using a lot of dark and serious words, maybe the attitude is very negative. Maybe the attitude is very depressed. Or he's using lots of simple, comforting words, then maybe the attitude is very happy. How does the author show their attitude? How do they write it in their tone? And again, you can pause anytime you need to. Here are some tone words. I can tell the author is appreciative. I can tell the author is very casual as opposed to serious. I can tell the author is very cheerful. I can tell the author is excited. How do you think the author feels? Maybe the author is self-assured and confident. Or maybe he's very flippant, meaning changing his mind a lot. Some more negative words might be maybe the author is very disrespectful. Maybe the author is very pensive, which means thoughtful. Maybe it looks like the author feels a bit depressed. That could happen. Or maybe the author feels indifferent. If you can't really find a tone, the author might feel indifferent, meaning that he has no emotions on the topic at all. Or maybe the author feels selfish. So again, these are some of our positives. There's always positive and negative emotions, and these are our negatives, our negative tones. Let's go again and look at Ode to Family Photographs by Gary Soto. There's definitely a lot of tone in this poem. The author's very sentimental. He's very reminiscent. That means he's remembering things. So if I move back to my words, he could be feeling cheerful. He could be feeling appreciative. He's definitely not feeling any of these though, but he is appreciative, sentimental, reminiscent. He's remembering these photos of the past, and you can tell he's feeling this way because of the way he describes them to us as readers. He doesn't go into too much detail. He uses simple words to describe them. So while it may not seem like there's a lot of emotion, he definitely explains that emotion at the end when he says that he's happy because there's candy in his mouth. And he brings up a lot of family and just goofiness and the realness of family. So he's definitely feeling, real and sentimental and looking at those photos with fondness. So this is really important. A lot of your notebooks are falling apart, so make sure that you're pasting your notes into your notebook. You also have some mood and tone word sheets. Go ahead and cut that out and paste it into your notebook as well. If you need to go back and rehash anything, reread anything for better understanding, please do, and be prepared to discuss this later this week.